Good morning, all.
Morning.
Good morning.
Hope you all had a good rest. Okay. Texter shows a thumbs up. Such always a simple smile. Hello, Jason. Very good evening.
Hello.
We'll just give a few more seconds for your friends to join us and then we'll get started. Perfect. So I think most of us have joined. Almost everyone, yeah. See, Raj is connecting on audio. We'll just give a few seconds. So how was the session so far? Is it informative? Is there a learning? Is there an unlearning and relearning happening?
There was a lot of learning yesterday for sure.
Thank you, Sehul, for that. Others?
Hey, morning, guys. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Raj, loud and clear. Perfect. So I think all of us are here. Let's get started. As always, we will start with a quick recap. Would you like to summarize in terms of what did we see? We'll cover yesterday's part. What were your takeaways? What did you learn yesterday?
One part which I can understand, we talked about the entire roles and responsibilities of the Scrum team, like PO, SM, as well as the dev team, and what is their alignments and how they go to collaborate. And of course, their typical communication, what do you call the communication perspective, and then also the roles and responsibilities. That is one point which I could recollect. I mean, I'm just going behind the scene, but I think we talked about agile methodology versus waterfall. What's the advantage of agile, and the roles of management to play in agile, roles of individuals to play in agile, and I mean, typically, and then we talk about the 4 pillars of agile, right? And each pillar, 3 pillars of agile. I'm not sure, 3 or 4 pillars. So transparency and okay, sorry, Ruchi says hands. Okay, go ahead, Ruchi. Sorry.
I said 3 pillars, Raj.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it is 3 pillars of. So I thought I'm adding one more pillar myself. So it's a 4 pillars, Ruchi. So 3 pillars of agile, and one is transparency, correct? And how each person transparent in the team, and also it is not a development team separate or business product team separate. It's all together as take delivery responsibilities, but the delivery is with the development team. And then goals.
Raj, thank you, Raj. We'll take a pause here. We will just hear from others as well in terms of what did they have as takeaways. I see Ruchi has raised her hand, so we'll start with Ruchi. Thank you so much for a quick summary on most of the coverage for yesterday, Raj?
You asked me that, I said it. So normally I don't talk. That's a problem.
Yes, Richi, go ahead, please.
Like Raj mentioned, the pillars of Scrum we learned yesterday, which is transparency, inspection, and adaption, and
Perfect.
which led to the trust. That was the fourth item. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's what Raj was confused in terms of the fourth pillar, but it was an intent that all these three pillars leads us to build the trust. Excellent. What else did we see? Thank you, Ruchi, for that. We'll give an opportunity for others. Yes, Chester. Chester, I don't hear you.
Sorry. Yesterday you also showed us a video about a chocolate scene in I Love Lucy, wherein lack of transparency and lack of openness, together with the lack of manpower, resulting a failure in the production of the chocolate factory.
Perfect. So you did talk about one aspect, Chester, along with transparency, along with the pillars. What did we connect that video with? There was a concept which we connected that video with, along with the pillars of Scrum.
Scrum values.
Excellent. So how many Scrum values do we have?
5. Openness.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kavya, for that. Can I have someone else from the floor, please? What are those 5 values? I see Chris has raised. Thank you, Sachu. It is courage, of course. Chris?
Focus, commitment, respect, and openness.
Respect, commitment, perfect. Sehul?
So, courage, focus, commitment, respect, and openness.
Excellent. So which one is the most important one that we'll have to follow?
All are equally important.
All are equally important, and we all remembered our Avengers and we had fun there. Yeah. So out of following all these 5 values, again, what do we build amongst the team? Similar to your 3 pillars, once you have all the 3 pillars instilled, that led to trust. So similarly, when you start practicing all the 5 values, it starts establishing trust amongst the team members. Perfect. And what was the Scrum framework all about? I told you a ratio. We did speak about ratio in Scrum framework. Yes, Prabha. I heard 3:5:3, but your voice is pretty low, Prabha.
5:3. That's great. So it's yes. Am I audible?
Yes. On and off.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, Nitya, please go ahead. I saw you raising your hands.
Yeah, it's 3:5:3. So 3 roles, 3 artifacts, and like 5 events.
Excellent. So what are the 3 roles?
Product owner, development, and Scrum Master.
So product owner, development team, and Scrum Master. Great. Thank you, Nitya, for that. Can we have someone else talk about the 3 artifacts? What are the 3 artifacts? Kavya, you're on mute. 3 artifacts, 3 artifacts. 5 were the events.
Product backlog, sprint backlog, and the increment.
Increment itself. Excellent. Thank you, Kavya, for that. And what are the 5 events?
Sprint planning, daily Scrum meeting, sprint review, and sprint retro.
Excellent. Thank you, Sacha, for that. So the sprint itself is one of the event, and then we start with a planning, and of course for the daily adjustments we have our daily Scrum, and then it leads us to the sprint review where you demo, and then finally you kind of inspect where you have your sprint retrospection. So there are totally 5 events as part of the Scrum framework. That is your 3:5:3. And we did talk about the responsibilities of product owner, Scrum Master, and dev team. Raj had already just scratch the layer. So let us have somebody talk about what do you understand from the product owner's responsibility? Can we have others who haven't shared yet? Share your thoughts, share your takeaways with respect to responsibilities of product owner.
Maximizing the value of the product.
Excellent, Sam. Yes, it is maximizing the value of the product. Yeah, I see Joanne had raised her hands. Yes, Joanne.
Product owner is like a mirror. It shows you where you are and you can inspect and adapt.
Okay, so that is for the Scrum Master, right? So your Scrum Master is your mirror who is showing you where you are. Perfect. The point is correct. Just the role is the Scrum Master.
Yes.
Thank you, Joanne, for that. Yes, Dexter?
For product owner, like our second activity, we identified that there are PO as prioritizing, accountability of refinement, requirements.
Thank you, Dexter. 2 points Dexter has said. One is in terms of prioritizing and the other one is accountability of refinement. Thank you, Dexter, for that. Yes, Expeditor.
Backlog refinement. This is the based on the product review on what's going on the project.
Yes, definitely, Expeditor. So product refinement, where the product owner helps the team understand each and every requirement that has come the way. Yes, Chester, over to you.
They also serve as a channel between the business users and with the Scrum Master and the development team. And they also monitor the competitors' product as well to see if there's a latest features or technology.
Perfect. So we saw an aspect of channels and we said that they are going to serve as a bridge between the business and the team. And at the same time, they're also going to understand or research in terms of what is the market, what are the competitors doing, how do we kind of have our USPs, etc. Perfect. Thank you so much. And what were the responsibilities of Scrum Master? Joanne had already mentioned one where she said we are going to be a mirror. What else?
Face-to-face communication.
Excellent.
Release planning.
Yes, Aruldas, of course, face-to-face communication. Release planning, are they going to be responsible for the release or are they going to be responsible for the facilitation of the release planning?
Release planning.
Facilitation.
Facilitation, absolutely. So the Scrum Master only is responsible or accountable for facilitation of release planning. However, it has to be participated by the respective stakeholders. Yes, Ruchi.
They are the process expert and they also take care of the time management.
Correct. So they are the process expert and they also make sure that everything is time boxed and we follow the time. Thank you. Yes, Kanishka.
Coaching the team and appreciate hard work and maintain face-to-face communication.
Absolutely. So they are going to, they're going to help in terms of instilling everything with respect to pillars and values. However, as you rightly said, they are the people who are going to also appreciate the team because they are mirrors, right? So of course, the mirror is also going to show all the good work that is being done. Great. Yes, Chris.
Scrum Master serve as a developer if there is an issue.
Sorry, Chris?
Serve as a developer.
Yes, serve as a person who is helping to remove your blockers, remove the impediments. So that's what Chris is mentioning. Absolutely bang on. Perfect. And what are the responsibilities of the development team?
Coding. They are the one who develop the features what they are discussing during that sprint, and then they are the one planning in the sprint planning in the sprint.
Yes, Prabha, thank you. I heard somebody as well. Was it Isa or Joanne who said coding?
Yeah, coding.
Perfect. So, of course, coding, and as Prabha mentioned, in terms of developing the features and also making sure that they are doing the sprint planning to make the commitment. Yes, Expeditor.
So analyze the requirements and provide the possible solution. I think that's
Absolutely. So always the how part comes from the development team. The what and why is covered by the product owner in terms of the purpose and what has to be done. Whereas the how, the solution is always coming from the development team. Yes, Nitya.
It's like informing the difficulties at the right time, like not waiting till the end and report it whenever they face it.
Absolutely, Nitya. So when you say difficulties, it is also about the risks, dependencies, and issues. We are going to call it out early in the game rather than waiting till the last minute. Perfect. Thank you so much. Yes, Dexter.
Transparency in terms of your commitment at work, your work.
Of course, Dexter, you're going to maintain transparency in terms of the commitment where you're going to show the progress of the work. Say, whatever tool you use, you're going to keep it up to date rather than keeping it always in open or to do and the last day making everything to close status. Bang on. Yes, Kavya?
And they are the participants of the stand-up meetings, and they're responsible of developing this sprint backlog document and of the documents.
Of course, Kavya. So they are responsible. They are participating in stand-up because it is meant for them. And also in terms of they are going to develop the sprint backlog, not just the document, but the entire sprint backlog, whatever work has been committed inside the sprint backlog. We'll see about that in detail today so that you get some more clarity in terms of what exactly are the elements inside a product backlog and the sprint backlog. Perfect. Thank you so much. And as always, let's kind of warm up before we enter into today's session. All ready? All ready? Okay.
Yes.
Today it is just going to be fun. We don't have any hidden context or hidden agenda inside the warm-up activities as I always do. Because today is going to be more theory, more content that we are all going to imbibe. So let's all just warm up to make sure that we are 100% present here at this moment. So that is where this activity is going to be done. And please use your headphones so that you hear this very clearly before answering. And kindly request, once you hear how much ever eager you are to respond, please raise your hands and then only the first person who raises the hand is going to respond the answer. Are we all good? Clear?
Seems like you don't want me to talk at all.
Oh, not at all, Raj. That was not the intent.
It's okay. I'm going to listen. Who's going to raise first hand to do it? Sorry, Jason was not in the call yesterday, so maybe towards the end, maybe take about 15 minutes to recap the slides for him for yesterday, because more of product owner perspective, we can do that with him maybe towards the end of the call. I think he'll be happy to catch up because he normally raises hands immediately, but now today he's silent because he didn't attend yesterday's meeting at all. Okay,
sure.
Just a request, Vani. Thank you.
Definitely, Raj. That'll be covered. Sure, Jason. I'll take that up. Okay. Now the floor is all yours. Here, Raj is also included, by the way. I'll call it out exclusively. Raj and Jason, just raise your hands as soon as you hear the audio. Yeah. Perfect. So I'm going to play the first audio. Let me know if you're able to hear as well. What is this audio? Where have we heard this? Yes, Jason.
the intro for the movies. I don't remember which line it is, but it's the opening of the movie.
Okay. Let's hear if somebody has a specific name of the brand. I see Kanishka. Yes, Kanishka.
Is it Universal Studios?
You're close, but not there yet. Keep thinking on same lines. I see one more hand raised. Let's see. Yes, Nitya.
Is it Disney?
No. Okay, yes, Kanishka. Okay, Aisa.
MGM.
No. Prabha.
Paramount.
No. I did see Chris and Dexter earlier raising hands. Anything that you wanted to give it a try? Prabha, you want to go for another round? Chester?
Is it Warner Brothers?
Absolutely. Yes, it is Warner Brothers. That's why I said Kanishka, he was close. Okay, let's.
I hear this most of the five-star hotels when you enter in, I hear this no, the music always.
Perfect. Now we'll go to the second one. Okay. Let's on the alert mode now. Yeah. Yes, it was Prabha who raised first. Yes, Prabha.
Mario.
Yes, it is Super Mario. Perfect. I saw a lot of smiles. Everybody going back to their old memories of playing Mario. Great. Okay. Let's hear the next one. Alert mode on. Sorry for that. We are going to play the third one right now. Sorry for that glitch.
Rediscover the joy of giving with Diamond Quartz.
Yes, Dexter. The last one had the answer as well. Yeah, Dexter, it was you who raised first.
I thought it's a Barbie waltz dance. No.
No. Yes, Ruchi, go ahead.
Is it from Cinderella?
No. I see one more hand raised. Who's that?
Sehul.
Yeah, Sehul, please.
Is it Minions? Minions?
No. It's not from movie. Definitely 80s and 90s kid would have seen this and would have raised, at least in India. I mean, this is universal, by the way, but still. Yes, Neha.
Tom and Jerry.
No, it's not from the movie. It's not from anything related to media. It's a product.
Can we play that again?
Sure. That was the audio. I wanted to pause. Yeah. It's a product. Yes, Kavya.
Amul?
No.
Dolby audio?
No.
Dairy milk.
Not yet. It will always help you to. Yes, Kanishka.
Is it Nintendo?
Sorry, what was
Is it
it?
is something to do with a game, like a
No,
console?
no. Okay. Hold on, and then we. Sorry. Yes, Isa.
Ice cream brand.
No, Kavya. No. It has got nothing to do with media. It has got nothing to do with eatables. It has got
Okay.
nothing to do with games. Okay. But we all use this daily, and particularly in today's session because we are coming from different zones. Yes, Chris.
Is it a watch advertisement?
Yes, it is. It is a watch advertisement. What is a brand?
My
Yes, Nitya?
Is it Titan?
Of course it is Titan. Come on, Raj. This is something that we all would have heard as we grew up. Sachu, most of us here would have heard
No,
this.
I didn't wear Titan from the beginning to now.
Oh,
I need to buy as well. So
perfect. Okay, now we'll go to the fourth audio, yeah? Ready? Alert mode on. Yes, Kanishka, you started. You raised your hand
Is it
first.
20th Century Fox something? Is it?
There is a slight switch you'll have to do. You did say the answer earlier. I'll hand it over to others. I see Ferdinand raising his hand. Yes, Ferdinand.
Is it Paramount Pictures?
No. You're all close. You're all close. Somebody said this answer earlier as well. I see Kandiban. Yes,
Universal Studios.
Universal?
Yes, it is. It is Universal Studios. Okay. Now let's go to the fifth one, okay?
when you say you're all close, you do this way. You are all close.
No, I don't have that intention at all, Raj.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yes. Yes, Dexter. It was first from Dexter.
20th Century Fox.
Yes, it is 20th Century Fox. The sixth one is already getting played. Dexter was right. It was 20th Century Fox. And it also had me. Yes, Kandiban?
Marvel Studios.
Of course it is. Exactly which Marvel? I'll play the
Avengers?
full one. Yes, it is. I'll move to the seventh one with the two systems. Yes, Jason.
That's Tom and Jerry.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
that we know. Sorry, Jason. I picked up earlier. I'm so sorry without raising my hand.
No problem. Okay, we'll go to the next one. Yes, I saw Jason raising first, but is it okay if we give chance to others, Jason?
Yeah, that's
And-
fine.
Yeah, perfect. Dexter, would you like to go?
I give chance to other.
Perfect. Isa?
I thought it's Superman initially.
Okay, okay. It is not. Ferdinand, would you like to give it a guess?
Indiana Jones.
Of course, it is Indiana Jones. Thank you, Ferdinand. Let's go for the next one. Yes, Ruchi.
Game of Thrones.
Of course it is. Okay. The last one for today. And let's all put our alert mode on and let's see. And for this, everybody type your response on the chat box. Whoever wants, you can type the response. Okay. And let's start. It's, of course, Chester is right. It is Godfather. Perfect. Thank you all. Thank you so much for participating. Did you all enjoy? All refreshed? Happy? Okay. So let's get through today's session with the same energy. Now this doesn't want to leave us, huh? I learned a lesson today, so starting next time, I should bring that as a separate audio files rather than keeping it on. Perfect. So again, Scrum framework is what we are going to continue today, and welcome you all for day 4 session. And today's topic, we will start with the artifacts. We did see the 3 roles, Scrum Master, Product Owner, and Development Team yesterday, and now we are into artifacts. The 3 artifacts are your product backlog, sprint backlog, and the increment itself. Now, what is this product backlog all about? As the name suggests, this is actually a place, it's a holder where you're going to put all the requirements that is required for your product. Anything that is required for my product or application, anything that I'll have to develop goes into the product backlog. The first initial thought, the first initial ask, the first initial need for a product or application goes as a line item inside my product backlog. And this is going to be the key parameter which will be maintained, managed, and accountable by the product owner, as the name suggests. So this is a superset which will be maintained by the product owners and business analysts in terms of capturing all the work that is expected in order to develop this product or application, whatever my users needs, whatever is going to satisfy my market, the demand in my market, all those are captured as part of your product backlog. Initially, when they start, they will not have all the details. It might be very, very abstract. And then once they start gathering information, they'll start fine-tuning them, breaking them, slicing them. And that's how you get some more clarity and it gets updated on the topmost layer. And what is the lifetime of a product backlog? The lifetime of a product backlog is it lives, it stays as long as the product and application stays in the market. Until and unless somebody comes and says that this application is going to sunset, this application is no more going to be in the market, it's not going to be used anymore, we are replacing it with something else. Till then, the product is going to survive. At the same time, my product backlog is also going to be there because it's always continuous improvement and further development. This is my single source of work from which this, Yara, just give me a second, I'll take your question. or your response? Just a second. So this is going to be a single source of truth or single source of place from where the work will be committed by my development team. There is no other place from where work can come in. That's how the transparency gets maintained. Yes, Raj, please go ahead.
Can you give it one example so that team can understand what
Yes.
is backlog? Maybe 2 or 3 examples. For example, we had one column import module, right? Example. So can you give us example of what is product backlog?
Coming there shortly.
Yeah.
Before I leave this slide, we will have that.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah. So when you see here, all the product backlog items, whatever you see as an image here, you see that they are all in different sizes and shapes. And in Agile, in Scrum, everything was made for a reason. There was nothing that was picked in random, including their names, right? So why do you think that the ones which are there on top are smaller compared to the rest, and then the bottommost are much more bigger than the ones which are there on the top? What do they actually help you understand as a layman? Did you spot the difference first? Yes, Aiza?
So I think the top one is like a summary or a title, and then one by one it's getting all the details.
Okay. Anybody else wants to take a plunge on this? Any idea?
Maybe it's based on the priority.
It's based on the priority. Was that Ruchi?
Yes.
Thank you, Ruchi, for that. Yes, Dexter?
Small ones, small rectangle are the backlog, which are the small the tasks you need to finish. You did not finish on the first sprint, so that's the backlog. So the big ones are the new ones, new tasks for that sprint itself.
Okay, sure. Thank you for that, Dexter. So, of course, couple of things, whatever you said, right? Collectively, I'm going to summarize. As Ruchi said, yes, it is the prioritized ones. Whatever you see on the top, it is almost prioritized, which means they are the top layers which have to be picked up by my developers during the sprint planning. And the prioritization responsibility lies with the product owner. Now, if I say this is prioritized, I'll have to make sure that the story requirements has all the details in it. So I give a lot of clarity so that the team is able to understand what has to be delivered from that single piece. So whatever is there in the bottommost, as Dexter was explaining a bit back, these are something that is not the ones which I'm going to look for the immediate next sprint. It is still a requirement, but it is not the topmost priority ones which my team is going to look for, say, the immediate next sprint or a sprint after that. So the product owner has all the time to go back and work on this later. And that is the reason where we are saying in Agile, it is not necessary to come up with a detailed, hefty requirement documents which captures all the requirements on day one before the development team starts. So it is going to be a continuous activity for the product owner and business analyst as well. Now, from this, what are the outcomes that they get? What is the commitment that is going to be made? There is something called as product goal, which will be created by my product owner. So yesterday when we saw product vision and roadmap is something that the product owner has to create. That is one of the responsibilities. Second thing is in terms of structuring the product goal. So product backlog helps the product owners to define that product goal, which is nothing but a long-term objective. And also they describe the future state of the project. Today, this is my assist. From assist to be, what is the gap? How do I travel? What are the elements that I need in order to achieve my to be state? So that is what will be defined under each requirements by my product owners and business analysts. And to give you an example, now let's say I am a customer who is approaching a service company and I'm asking them to develop an application for booking tickets. Okay, I'm taking a very common example which will be understandable by all before getting into your domain. Okay, you're going to do that anyway today. So I am a person who is running theaters. I have 5 theaters and each theater has got so many screens. And now I'm approaching a company for them to develop me an application where my customers could see what are the movies that are being telecasted, what are the movies that are being run on that particular show under each theater, under each screen, and they should be able to book the tickets for a specific show. So this is my ask as a customer to the company. Now, this itself is a line item which goes into my product backlog. But do you think as developers, you all can work on this just with this one statement? Will you start working on this just with the one statement? The moment I come and ask you, I need a booking application to book the movie tickets, which is being shown in 5 different theaters, and each theater has got multiple screens. This is the details that I've provided you. Now, with this, will you be able to start developing?
No. No.
No. Yes, Ruchi?
No.
No. Of course, we can't do that, right? Because we will start with assumptions only. So what will happen now? The product owner has this line item created inside my product backlog. Now he or she, the product owner, is going to do a bit of market research. They're also going to see what are the other applications in market today. And they're also going to have further conversations with the user, the customer, to understand in detail. Yes, you said you have 5 theaters, great. And you said multiple screens. How many screens do you have in each theater? They need it exactly right. They cannot say multiple screens inside the application. When as a user, you're going to go and book a ticket, you want to know as part of theater A, how many screens are there and how many movies are going to be casted in each screen. That is how you will be able to choose and book the ticket. So my product owner is going to go and ask all these questions. So all basis all the responses that he or she receives, they are going to come and break this one-liner requirement into multiple items. So now, what are the various features that you would expect as a user inside a booking application, a movie booking application? What are the various items that you would expect? Let's hear from you.
Seat allocation, prefer to choose a particular seat, and then snacks.
Yes, prefer to choose a particular seat. So seat selection is one of the feature that you will definitely need. Okay. And then it was, I think Prabha said also snacks. Yes, I want to book the snacks so that I don't want to stand in long queues. Perfect. Yes, Ruchi.
Search by movie name.
Wonderful. Search by movie name. I want to search by movie name. Excellent. Yes, Ruchi, thank you for that. Yeah, Dexter.
Upon searching the movie name, the details like the price and the time to be shown.
Yes. So once I search the movie by a movie name, I get the list of responses. And then when I click on it, I need to see the details. Say details like what is the cost of a ticket? How many tickets are still available? What is this movie all about? I need a summary view quickly to read about that particular movie. Who are all casted in that movie? People are also interested about that. Perfect. What else do you see before booking a ticket? Only so much? Do you think you need to choose a select a seat? You need to search by movie name. You need snacks. You need the details. What else? Yes, Nitya.
Usually I used to check whether it has subtitles if it is a different language one.
Perfect. So I need to also know if there is a subtitle available so that I can make my decision accordingly. Perfect. Yes, Kanishka?
Type of the cinema, is it 3D or IMAX?
Perfect. So type of the movie. I need to know whether it is a 3D, 4D. Today there are a lot of Ds in that. Yes, of course I need to know that. Yes, Raj.
When I open this, the website or whatever your applications, and I want to know what are the movies running today. Okay, I can't go and choose, find out, etc. Based on that, I can choose. So, and then which theater and which screen which is running, all in one screen. Then it's easy for me to choose, and in that I know which is the language is running part of that one, right? Then if I choose one, you can give search. Okay, I want which area. It's closer to me. I can select it, right? So that's the first thing I wanted to see as a person coming in, right? If I don't like any of the movies, then I can just move out of it.
Perfect.
Yes.
So you need a home screen kind of where it lists all the movies that are casted right now, and also you wanted to know how, in which theater, which screens. You need a complete detailed view on that. Perfect. What else? Yes, Neha.
I check the audio effect of theaters because we see some other movies like different kind of things, right?
Of course. So we also need the audio clarity, audio details, and that details has to be available there. Yes. Perfect. Yes, Chester.
I'm also checking for the movie classifications, whether it's a general patronage or parental guidance. So it
Yes.
also advises parents or supervising adults that the film may contain any of themes, language, or violence.
Perfect. So you also see the classification. If at all I can go for this movie with my kids, is it allowed, etc. So those details are required. Perfect. Yes, Jason.
I don't know if it was already said, but I'd want to link to a preview as well, just like you do on Netflix, so you can see if that's even something you want to watch.
Of course. So we all need a preview. We need a trailer. We need something to see in terms of how the movie is. It's not necessary for me to book without looking into it. Great. What else? Yes, Dexter.
I need to know that two things: location where it is showing. Is it near to me, and the time?
Correct. So location and time.
frequency.
Absolutely, Dexter. Thank you for that. Yes, Ruchi.
The payment method.
Absolutely. I need the payment. Without the payment, as a user, I'm happy as long as the payment is not there. But as a person running the theaters, I'll definitely not be happy to have an application without my users paying for it. So bang on the payment. Perfect. Yes, Ferdinand.
How about movie reviews? If the movie is good or bad, and any feedback from moviegoers.
So you need the movie reviews as well. You need to know
Yes.
how people have rated that movie before you make a decision
Yes.
whether to watch or not. Great. Perfect. So all these are whatever you said so far, they're all going to be line items inside my product backlog. Because these are all requirements that is required to be built in order to deliver the application. Okay. Now this is the first step. Now you tell me, do you think all these are required on day one for my user to start using the application to book a ticket?
No.
No.
Not
So when
necessary.
yes, not necessarily. When you mentioned there were, yes, Ferdinand, you have something to add? Okay. So whatever you said, it had few must-haves. It also had few features which are nice to haves. So this is the kind of prioritization that the product owner is going to do. What is going to generate value for me at the earliest? What is the smallest increment? Yesterday, Sachu did say minimum viable product for an increment. What is the minimal feature that can get started for my users to start using the application so that my customer, who's a theater owner, starts generating revenue out of it? Because he's spending out of his pocket to get this application developed. He's going to pay the organization to get the application developed. So he also needs return on investment. The organization which is developing also needs return on investment. At the same time, we need customer satisfaction. Here I have two distinct customers. One is a direct customer who's going to use your application, which is your end users. There is also another person who is your customer for whom you are building this particular application. Okay. And now you all said various features. Nobody talked about login. Do you think login is required in terms of registration required on the day one feature, on the minimum viable product for a ticket booking application? Yes, Kanishka?
Not required.
Okay, not required. And why do we feel that it is not required?
Maybe some users want to book quickly, so by the time you check out, you can ask for the mobile number or the email address. Because sometimes I would like to book a ticket very fast without able to going and registering myself there.
Absolutely, Kanishka. So this makes the time faster for the user in terms of booking the ticket. Perfect. Assume the same thing. You are building an application for a banking or a financial one. Would you feel that you don't want a login? You are a bank customer. Yes, Dexter?
I think that is very required.
That
Because
is
it's
very
a
required.
financial aspect or confidential details you need to know only.
Yes, absolutely, Dexter. Yes, Chris.
Yes, login is required in terms of security.
Login is required for banking application, right, Chris? You're mentioning the banking application.
It's the same for movie booking because if you're doing an online payment, so you know you're exposing your credit card number, something like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, Dexter, I'll come back to you in a minute. So when we start prioritizing, when the product owner starts prioritizing, so these are the things that goes in terms of what is the domain, what is the application that you're building. If it is a booking application, a ticket booking application, whether it is a movie, whether it is a flight or a train, whatever it is, you also can allow guest user, similar to what Kanishka said. I wanted to book my tickets faster. So only catch is with respect to security that Chris is mentioning. I'll have to make sure that the security is maintained as part of my payment gateway in terms of getting the OTPs, etc. Because I don't have a login. I'm not going to store any information. So in that case, for a booking application, I really don't have to have a login as a minimum viable product. That is for the first release, first launch, I don't want a login. Whereas if it is a banking or a financial application that I'm building, definitely in my first release, the first minimum viable product that I'm giving to my user, on day one, I should give them with a login application or the feature as well. I cannot negotiate without a login feature for a banking or a financial application. Okay, so this is how the product owner kind of makes. Now, even for a booking application, see the flip side of it. If my users are registered, if they are having a login, which means I am increasing their regularity, I'm going to maintain the customer retention. So you log in once, I capture your needs. So always I'm going to inform you, because from Kanishka's pattern of occurrence, pattern of booking, what I understand is, I understand that he's more interested in the genre called as thrillers. So whenever there is a movie on the thriller genre, I'm going to send out a notification to Kanishka, being a valuable customer. Hi Kanishka, that we have a thriller movie that has been launched this week, or it is going to be launched this week. I would request you to book your ticket. So I'm going to send him a friendly reminder. This is also going to increase my business. So these are all afterthoughts, but this is not required for me on day one. And this is how your increments are decided. Are we clear so far? All good. Can I see a couple of thumbs ups, thumbs down if you don't understand? Great. Any particular question? So now each item, as I said, it is going to go inside your product backlog, and I'm going to show you what that difference in sizes means. So here for the booking application, my topmost, which I have to take it up in the immediate next 2 sprints or 3 sprints, all that will be detailed. Say, looking for the list of movies that are going to be casted, allowing people to choose from it so that I display the details of the movie, because I'm showing whatever movies is casted in my 5 theaters. So once I select a particular movie, I definitely need to know some details, as in which screen is it casted, what are the summary of the movie, and then I need to know how many tickets are available. So some information I'm going to show, not all the information. Of course, understanding the type of movie, understanding the audio type, all these things are required, but those are not required for me on day one for my users to come and use this application. The first purpose, the minimum viable product they need is, they need a source to see the list of movies telecasted, and for them to choose the movie, select the seats, which Prabha said initially, and then book the tickets, which means the payment also has to be there, or else as a customer, I'm not going to get return on investment. So this is the minimum viable product. So features, stories which are relevant to these topics will be detailed out and will be kept on the top layer, whereas all the other things will be on the bottommost layer. Say in terms of your search by movie name, in terms of audio type, in terms of knowing the subtitle availability or not, snacks booking. And I'll also say, as a user now, in most of the metro cities, whether it is in India or any other country, I would prefer knowing the parking availability as well, or booking a parking slot, so that I don't waste time inside the parking lot in terms of parking my vehicle. I pre-book my parking lot so that I can go, I know that this place is allocated. I directly go to that spot, park my vehicle, and then I go to the movie quickly, which will save my time in terms of being inside the theaters. So that is also something that I as a user would prefer, but that is not my minimum viable product for day one. So that is how those details will be here put in the backlog, but they will not be detailed to an extent which is consumable by my developers for the sprint. That will come in the later sprints. Are we all clear? Shall I move to the next artifact? Now coming to the sprint backlog, my first question to you all is, here you see that almost every element, every item, the image is of the same size. What does it mean? The image that I just showed you, unlike the product backlog, they didn't have varied sizes. They were all of same size. What does that mean? Yes, Aisa?
So those are the items that needs to be done.
Of course, those are the items that needs to be done, because sprint backlog is the commitment that is being made by my development team for that respective sprint. Of course. Why is that in the same? Yeah, Raj.
All are equal and must to do.
All are equal and must do. Okay. I'll just say hold your thought on that, because even within sprint backlog, we do a bit of prioritization, which I'll cover as part of our sprint planning.
Right, that's right.
Yeah. Yes, Kavya?
Details are covered for all the items.
Of course, Kavya, bang on. All the details are covered for that respective story. Everything is clear. My team is ready to consume that, commit that, and then start working on it, which means they are all clear, clarified, and estimated by the team members. And that is where we have shown it in equal sizes of the rectangle. And it doesn't mean that it has to have the same amount of effort involved, or everything has to be of the same priority. Remember on day 2, I said that we all keep hearing 10 items there for your work, and all 10 items are of high priority. That doesn't work. So this does not indicate the priority. All that means is we are, as a team, very clear about each and every requirement. We have got all the details inside it. There is no ambiguity, and the stories are already estimated. That is the intent of having the same size. Now, your sprint backlog is just a subset of your product backlog. You understand, right? Product backlog has all the requirements, and your sprint backlog is just a small piece that you're committing for that specific sprint. So in our example of booking application, for the first sprint, if you're following a 2-week sprint, only you will commit work with respect to selecting seats and then payment gateway integration. So stories relevant to seat selection and payment gateway is what you will see as part of the sprint backlog, which means it is a subset of the product backlog. Yes, Dexter?
As I see on the rectangles, they are equally and separated. Is it okay that I can interpret it as there's no equal tasks and there's no dependency on each other? So this square can do on the parallel or at the same time by the team.
Yes, we will see that as part of the characteristics of story, Dexter, how we are going to maintain that independence, but not necessarily. There might be a bit of dependency. I'll cover that as part of the characteristics and sprint planning window. Yeah. And when you say parallel working, yes, multiple developers can work on this parallelly. When I say Dexter can work on one, and then we can have Chester working on item number 2 at the same time. They both can start at the same time, whereas a bit of integration would be required. Dexter, all okay? Yes, Chris?
What happened to the sprint or the per cycle if one of these boxes did not completed?
Okay, that will be handled as part of sprint planning and sprint review. I'll tell you that in detail. So if one of this box is not completed, we are going to carry forward that to the immediate next sprint or to the product backlog again, depending on the priority that my product owner says. If they still feel that this holds good with respect to prioritization, nothing has superseded, then it will go to the immediate next sprint, or else it will go to the backlog so that it comes back later in the future sprints. It might be 3rd sprint, 4th sprint, 5th sprint, or 10th sprint, doesn't matter. My product owner will be the ultimate judge who will tell the priority for it. And we will see that in detail as part of our sprint planning window and also as part of sprint review. So now coming back to the artifact per se, as I was saying, this is just a subset of my product backlog. So similar to the product goal, after every sprint commitment is made, a sprint goal is also going to be carved out. And what is this sprint goal all about? Since day one, I've been telling that we are all working towards a common goal. We don't have individual goals. So that common goal is your sprint goal. What is the objective that we as a team we are going to achieve in this particular sprint? So going back to our example of a booking application, the first sprint is dedicated only for viewing the list of featured movies, selecting seats, and making the payment. So that is my goal for the first sprint. So that is what I will carve out as a sprint goal, and that is the common goal that the entire team is going to work towards. And this sprint backlog, the lifetime of the sprint backlog is, it is born on the day of sprint planning, and it also ends its life on the day of retrospection or review. That is, your sprint backlog's lifetime is only in the sprint window. You can't have multiple sprint backlogs. As part of event, we saw the first event as the sprint. So for every sprint, you will have a new sprint backlog, and the lifetime of it will be as the sprint starts, the sprint backlog starts. As the sprint ends, the sprint backlog also ends.
Sorry, repeat again.
The lifetime of a sprint backlog is the sprint, as the sprint starts, the sprint backlog comes into existence. As the sprint ends, the sprint backlog also ends.
So if suppose one of the delivery from the sprint is failed, that means it's not meet the QA criteria, it comes back as a new sprint, right? Or it has to go under product backlog or bring it back, or how it's been done?
Yes, it will go into the next sprint backlog, or if my product owner feels that this is no more a priority right now, it will go inside the product backlog.
Okay.
If you have got the basic, we are good. Don't worry if you have not got all the details, because that is what you're going to do as activities in the next few hours throughout today's session. And also when we have gone through the events, all the events, it will be even more clearer. But if you have any questions, I request you to note it down and keep it or put it inside the chat box, so that if that is something that will be covered as part of the events, I will definitely cover that and then check it again with you. And the last artifact, the third artifact in Scrum framework, is your increment, which is nothing but a potentially shippable product. So as I said, if I'm developing the list of the movies, I'm viewing the list of movies that is available, I'm able to select the seat, and I'm also able to make the payment. That is a potentially shippable product, which means anytime I can go live. However, How many sprints do they need to complete this work is what we will start discussing during our planning and release windows. For the benefit of Jason, I would repeat this. Here, increment, when we say everything is potentially shippable, that is where we have mentioned it as potentially shippable. Not necessary that at the end of every sprint, you will have to go live. So as an organization, as a team, they will all discuss to see what is the frequency at which we will have to go live. Should we go live every 1 month, every 3 months? That decision will be made, and every sprint will have a potentially shippable product, which means it can be delivered into production. And finally, after the end of first month, I club everything and then I take it to live, so that the cost in terms of the go live is also met, and also in terms of my users' needs are met. Are we all good so far? Yes, no, maybe. Yes, thank you, Jason. I see a thumbs up. Perfect. Okay. So right now I'm going to introduce you to type of agile requirements, because whatever you add as an item inside the product backlog, whatever you consume inside the sprint backlog, you should know what it is, right? So that is where we are going to talk about types of agile requirements. A word of caution, again, a disclaimer as always. Agile requirements came into existence as part of practice. This is not mandated or provided by the Scrum framework. Scrum framework as such doesn't talk about the type of requirements and how it has to be written or maintained. However, in industry, basis the best practices, people felt that instead of writing hefty BRDs, FRDs, and PRDs, this made lives easier for both the product owner and also for the development team to stay on the same page. And that is where this requirements type were introduced. We call them as epics. So one statement, as I said, for our example, as a customer, when I come and say, I want a booking application to book tickets using the theaters that I cast, that is a one-line statement. That is a huge chunk of work, which is an epic that is going to take quarters, 1 quarter to multiple quarters to develop that. That becomes an epic. And then the features, whatever you all said, your payment is one feature, search is one feature, snacks booking is one feature. The one which I asked in terms of parking lot booking is one feature. So all these are features which are going to take months for me to develop. And the smallest granular level which can be consumed by the development team is called as user story. And this user story can be completed within weeks. And that is where your sprint window is also going to be in weeks. And then you generally have tasks. How am I going to accomplish my user story? How am I going to have some technical analysis done? How am I going to do some POCs? Because this is something new. We have to try it out as part of our technology stack. We have to do a proof of concept to even know whether the solution works or not. So all those will come as tasks. And then the bugs, we all know about it, a universal language. Bugs both from your development phase, that is your SIT, UAT, and also from production, everything will be captured as bugs, which can be completed within the weeks window, that is within the sprint framework. And finally, the subtask, you will have to break down the subtask during your sprint planning as a developer or tester. That will be the smallest one, which can be completed within days. I will talk about subtask creation during the sprint planning, so don't worry about it right now. That is not mandatory for all the teams, but for the new team which is starting Agile adoption, which is very early in the game with respect to Agile adoption. So far, we have been doing without knowing about it. So for all those teams, it is preferred to have subtask level. And as you mature, you can just let go of the subtask creation. But initially, it is good to have that subtask. I'll tell you the reason while we are doing the sprint planning event. All good? So an epic, when it is given as an epic, when it is given as a huge chunk of work, you will not commit for it because you can't achieve that in 2 weeks. You can't achieve that in 3 weeks. So an epic cannot be part of your commitment, which means it cannot be part of your sprint backlog. Only your user stories, tasks, bugs can be part of your sprint backlog as part of your commitment that you make. And now When I said that this concept was introduced basis the best practice in terms of the challenges, people felt writing BRDs, FRDs doesn't work. What is this concept of user story going to give? Yes, Raj.
Can you just give a brief on the team? What is the difference between product backlog and sprint backlog?
So product backlog has all the requirements covered. Your sprint backlog is just a part of it, a commitment that you make for that 1 week or 10 days.
So one line of a product, the backlog can have multiple sprint backlogs, and all to be complete to ensure that the product backlog is cleared out. Is it correct?
Yes. Yes. And you will not create all the sprint backlogs right on day one. You will only take it just on that space.
Yeah, that's correct. That's where the development methodology comes into picture for, and based on number of teams we assign it, right? We can do 4 teams or 2 teams based on this completions, or there are some dependency on each that can be, managed as well. Yeah.
Yes. So the question that I was asking is, now I said, before I introduced you the types of agile requirements, I told that as part of industry best practices is how we started with agile requirements. I said user story is something which is the smallest amount which can be consumed. And I said that help people to be on the same page. My business, my product owner, my development team all had a common understanding and they were all on the same page. Now, what is the difference that is going to bring in? What do you think? Have you seen BRDs, FRDs, PRDs as part of your experience? Sachu has. Okay. Now, what was the challenge with such BRDs, FRDs, PRDs, Sachu?
See, most of the time it will be like ambiguous requirement, and then it will say like you may need to do this one, but they will not clearly specify what is need to be done. And then like basically like always we go with requirements traceability matrix. Okay, this requirement is traceable by this one or that one. So these are like high level challenges with the BRD.
Of course.
And then like the testing team will interpret, okay, in the end, after the development is completed, the testing team will interpret, okay, it is written in this requirement, okay, that it should be following this as well.
Yes. So there was all such ambiguities. Yes, Raj.
In early days, there are BRD business requirement document, SRD system requirement document, and they call CRS, the system requirement specification. Okay, this all overall. But when you look at BRD, is done by business team, and then systems are done by IT team or development team. So there is no connection between.
I think I lost.
Cleared based on the SRD system requirement document or system document where we define it, which are the areas to be automated, the system is which cannot be. So that is the clarity. We go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It delays the process. Yeah, ambiguity is one. Normally it can be avoided based on the business person with you or a business analyst with you. The problem is the one-liner will be lead into a large towards the end, and that can give a problem. That's what a typical problem we faced earlier also.
Of course. So there were multiple parties involved, as Raj was mentioning, in terms of the IT versus the business. And then there were a lot of gaps. And in terms of what Sachu said with respect to ambiguity, the way I interpret that as a business person versus the way the technical team, the developers interpreted versus how the testers, the QAs interpreted was way too different because it had a lot of challenges in terms of how it was worded, how it was written, etc. So that is where this user story concept was introduced. And this user story, we gave a syntax similar to your coding language. You all have syntax, right? Say for few languages, it always has to end with a semicolon. A few languages, if you open have braces, it has to be closed. There has to be tags associated to it. So each coding language comes with some syntax. Similarly, for user story, we came with a syntax. And that is what made the lives easier and made people to stay on the same page. And what was that syntax? It said, as a user, I want to so that I can. I'll give you a small example. So as a ticket booking, as an end user who watches movie, I want to select the seat of my preference so that I can book my tickets. For me, as a person who wants to go and watch a movie in a theater, I want to choose the seats of my preference. I don't want somebody else to say, where do I sit? Because I have my own preference of seeing it from the last row or from the middle. And also some people have preference to select the corner seats so that it is easier for them to get out and come back. The aisle seat, right? So it is the choice of the particular person, whoever wants to go and watch. So from that statement, what is the type of user? What was the user who was booking it or using the feature? I did mention a username. Who was the user for this feature?
The person going to book.
End user.
Correct. The end user, the person who is going to watch the movie. So that was the person who is also going to book the tickets. Perfect. I want to. What was the action I performed?
Book.
Book a ticket.
Correct. In the example that I just quoted, what was the action that I was performing? I want to
Select the seats.
select the seats. Excellent. So selecting the seat is the action that I, as an end user who's going to book the ticket, is performing. So whenever I select the ticket, what is the outcome? So that I can book the ticket of my preference, book the seat of my preference. That is the outcome that I'm generating. So this is what the syntax meant. You're very, very precise and clear about who is the user who is going to use this particular application or feature. What is the action that they are performing? That gets captured as part of I want to. When I say so that I can, it is talking about the outcome from the action that you have performed. Are we all clear? Now, the same booking application, you all wanted to go and see the list of movies that is casted, right? Even Raj said, I wanted to first see a home screen where I see all the movies that are casted so that I don't have to waste my time in searching. I see all the movies. If there is something of my interest, I wanted to know the details, or else I'll just come out of it. So who is the person who is going to load all the movies? Because the movies are not one time, right? This week you have these many movies, 5 movies that are casted. Next week by Friday, because there is a new release, your movies casted is going to change. So somebody has to put those list of movies inside it, right?
Theater owner.
Theater owner, okay.
Admin.
Of
Admin
course, it is an admin. It might be the theater owner, or the theater owner might hire somebody who plays the role of the admin. But all we are giving is, we are making that person as an admin who has access control on that application. Now, I want you to type one requirement in the syntax that I have provided for the admin. The user here is the admin who is going to load all the movies that is casted right now. Now, how will you frame that? So the requirement is, you are an admin. You're one of the admin. The theater admin is going to use your application. And what is the purpose? He or she wants to load the movies that are casted right now. So write a story in the syntax that I just provided you, stating, as a user, I want to so that I can. In this structure, write a story. Put it on the chat box. I see Isa has sent. Perfect, Isa. And I know you are a product owner. See Prabhas as well. Okay. For particular, we will see the list. Excellent, Prabha. Okay. Chris, I'll take your example a bit later for everybody's to discuss. Is that okay? With your permission, can I take yours as an example? Thank you, Chris, for that. Sachu has written as data owner on the screen to add new movies so that I can display them on the movies that are currently played in the theaters. Okay. Check the time of the movie so that I can go at my availability. Sehul, here the context was a bit different. I'll take your story as well as an example. Okay. So some of you have got to the point in terms of the scenario that I provided. Few of you have taken your own scenarios, but it's absolutely okay. Okay. Sam, almost there. Just a bit of fine tuning has to be done, and I'll show you one right example. Isa, I'm taking yours as an example, if that is okay with you. Now, this I'm going to provide it for all. I'm putting it on the meeting group chat. So just see what I have sent you all. That is the one from Isa. Okay. So she has very clearly mentioned as an admin. So the user is an admin user. Perfect. That is covered. I want to load the current movie list. So that is also, she has told what is the action that is going to be performed. So when the admin performs this action, what is the outcome from that? So that the customers can see and choose. Perfect. So that is the intent, right? I as an admin want to show the list of movies which will help my customers to see what is available in the market or what is casted, and they will choose from that. As simple as that. So bang on, I saw on that. Just to add on to this, one more fine tuning, if at all I would need to bring in more clarity, and I will take Prabhas as an example. So she has almost written the same thing. She has just done a small tweak. Can you see that? Can somebody tell what is that small difference between Isa's and Prabhas?
Time period, particular time period.
Absolutely. We are being very, very clear. So that is the challenge that we all spoke about, right? In terms of ambiguity. Now, irrespective of whether a business owner, the user who has asked this requirement, or a developer or a tester reads, everybody will be on the same page. Do we all agree? Everybody knows who is the user who is going to use this feature. Everybody knows what is the action and everybody knows what is the outcome. Any layman can understand this. So that is how your story has to be structured. And that is the responsibility of a product owner. The accountability lies with the product owner, but the team is also going to play a part in it. And I'll cover that as part of the 3 C's and also as part of the refinement. Good so far? All with me? Okay. Now, why did I say I'll take Chris as an example? Chris, nothing personal, but I just wanted to show this so that we don't end up on the same page. So if the requirement is written in this fashion, I want to upload the list of movies or list of new movies. This is the intent is right here. The intent is to load the new movies. But from this, what are the various questions the reader will have?
Who is the user?
Sorry, Ruchi?
Who is I?
Who is I? Perfect. I heard, I think Prabha, was it?
Yeah, it's same.
Okay, you also had the same thing. So whose I is the first question that I'll get. And the second thing, what else?
What is
else
the
from this?
reason behind?
What is the reason behind? Of course, I'll have to know the purpose of it. That is where the what and why comes into picture, right? So I don't get the purpose of it. Then what is the third thing?
How is the user going to use this feature?
How is the
Confirm it is.
user going to use it? Yes. I don't have that clarity as well. I say upload, but where do I upload? How do I upload is a question mark there. What else? What is the key word which causes ambiguity, which causes confusion, which might vary from a developer and a tester? When I say new movies, what defines new movies? Is it something that released today? Is it something that got released 1 week ago? Is it something that got released 1 month ago? What do I categorize as new movies? Now, as a developer, when I'm developing, if I assume that new movies is something that is launched in the last 1 week, I will only deliver the coding according to it. My logic will be built basis the 1 week, right? But when the tester is trying to test, if he or she interprets this as 1 month or 1 day, their test case scenario is going to vary. So you get the difference, right? How it varies, why there was a confusion in the initial days. Here, the intent of writing new movies is absolutely right. But when I write this, I'm actually creating a lot of ambiguity depending on the person who is going to read it, depending on the role they play. Are we all clear why we are asking you to make an attempt to write using the syntax? It's okay if you're a developer. It is not something that you will have to practice, but as product owners, business analysts, the more you practice, the more you will start fine tuning it and start conveying the details very clearly. This will also help you understand how your teams transform in terms of asking their clarification. It will become very precise to the point. In the first statement, I don't even know should I ask this question or not. Similar to the new movies concept. Okay. There is one more aspect of user stories called as acceptance criteria. I'm not going to start that right now. I know too much theory, so let's all take a small break and then let's resume it back. Okay, have a good cup of coffee, tea, or something that will keep you refreshed and make you feel comfortable, because we are going to have some more heavy topics today. So excuse me for that and enjoy the rest of the training as well. Okay, have a good cup of coffee. Today I'll give you 15 minutes. It's 9:28 here. We will resume back by 9:45 IST. So set your timer for 9:45 IST and come back in 15 minutes, 1-5. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Welcome back, everyone. You had a good break. Perfect. So we were talking about user story, and now I said I'll introduce you to the acceptance criteria aspect. So what is this acceptance criteria all about? They are nothing but your boundary conditions basis which the story has to be said, whether it is completed or not. So this is what is going to give further more clarity. And as Sachu said, in terms of the issue between the developer and tester, all got sorted using this acceptance criteria. Say, for example, if I'm writing a story for a login, as a user, I wanted to log into the application so that I can see the list of movies. If at all I'm writing the login screen, what will be my acceptance criteria? My acceptance criteria will say about all the validations. My username and password field has to be validated. So the first validation is whether they are the right combination. What if my username password does not match? What is the error message that I'm going to display? So I'll give that level of clarity, including the text it has to be, including the color it has to be mentioned, etc. Say in the login page as part of the password field, do you ever see the password as you type in? Do you ever see the password as you type in?
No.
No. And in
No.
today's thing, we have the concept of this eye icon where you can view the password that has been typed, but not write as you type in. So it is always masked. Either you get it as asterisks or as dots. So this level of clarity I can mention as part of my acceptance criteria. I can say as part of the password field, the keyed in characters has to be displayed as asterisks. So that will be one of my acceptance criteria. And these acceptance criteria are nothing but the boundary conditions which will say whether the story is completed or not. Because when I say a login page, what are the various features that you have within a login page? What is there inside a login page?
Forgot password.
Forgot password? Yes, of course.
Remember me?
Remember me? Yes.
Sign up for new user.
Sign up for a new user? Yes.
Social media login via Facebook or Gmail.
Okay, you have various login options as if via social media or Google,
Yeah, yes.
etc. Yes. What else?
The whole design of the page, like the background image, logo.
Correct. The background image, logo. Yes, that is required.
The fields to enter the username password.
Of course, the fields to enter the username and password.
And we have login with phone number or email.
Login with phone number or email. Okay. See, again, certain options are mandatory for any login page, irrespective of the application, any domain we will have. Say your username password field is common. Having a login button, a cancel or a reset button is common. Having a forgot password, yes, it's common. Remember me, again, it varies. If I'm there in a banking application, I will not have a straightforward remember me. Instead, I'll have an option called as remember my username. Because that's a compliance aspect. It will not allow you to store your password. So I will have an option called as remember my username. All other applications will have remember me option. And the features that you said in terms of I'll have options like can I log in using my social media, Gmail, etc. They are not available for all the domains, all the applications that you use. It varies, right? So let us focus only on the common features, right? Say remember me, forgot password, username password field, a login button, a cancel button. The eye icon inside the password field, that is also most common. Now with so many elements, will I cover all these things in one single user story? These are all separate features by itself, right? Should I have all these things in one single story? And how will I know what is going to be covered as part of this story or as part of this sprint? And that is what is your acceptance criteria, which will define. So my bare minimum that is required for me to launch my application or for people to use the login functionality is I need a page with a proper brand logo, etc. So I give the background. I will have the username password field. I'll have a login button and a cancel button. This is the bare minimum that I need. So my acceptance criteria will cover only details relevant to this. What is the validation elements that is going to happen? For the username password field, when I click on login, what will happen when I click on cancel? I type something in the username field or the password field, and instead of clicking login, I click on cancel. What exactly will happen? That will be covered as part of my acceptance criteria. How is my password going to be displayed? That is covered as part of my acceptance criteria. So these are your boundary conditions to state whether the story is completed or not completed. And that is what you capture as part of acceptance criteria, which can be straightforward used by your testers as well as your users in terms of testing whether this work is completed or not completed. This helps to remove ambiguity, and that is where now developers and testers are not going to fight if the password field is going to be shown as asterisk or ... So that is what is the usage of acceptance criteria. So after followed by the syntax that you write, you're going to give an acceptance criteria. So now it's time for you to work on it. We have our first story, right? We did display. So if you are an admin, if you're developing this feature for an admin user who is going to load the movies for the particular time period so that the users can see the list of movies, what is the acceptance criteria? What is the boundary condition for this particular story? Please key in inside the chat box. For ease of use, I've put the user story in the chat. For this user story, what can be the boundary conditions? What are all that we are going to achieve? Type in the chat box. Yes, Prabha. Yes, Ruchi, you're right. Dexter, you'll have to tell for this particular story. Jason, again, with respect to the particular story, what can be the acceptance criteria? The user has already logged in and he has been verified because he had a successful login. So he is an admin, confirmed. Now, once he has logged in as an admin, what is that he'll have to do in order to upload the movie list? That is what you're going to cover as part of the acceptance criteria. Yes, Prabha, you're right again. Isa, just fine tune. As I said, the user is already validated as admin. They have logged in successfully. Yes, Dexter. If that is going to be the case, how are you going to confirm that? Think through that and then add that as an acceptance criteria. What you sent right now is correct. What next? Of course, Chris. Yes, Kanishka. Think you're building an application which is for, say, example, one theater, and that theater has got 5 screens. How many movies can the admin upload for a given period? Yes, Isa, you're right. Absolutely right, Kavya. Perfect. So others keep going and then we will continue with the explanation. So whomever I said right, what have I been telling about? So Ruchi first said in terms of field to key in movie titles, options to select the start date and end date. Of course, that is my bare minimum which is required for me to upload a particular movie. Because I've already logged in as an admin, I'm validated as an admin. Now, the moment I come in and my action that I'm going to perform is to upload. So that is for a time period. So I will give the start date and end date. Definitely, it has to have a text field. Prabha was mentioning about having a text field to key in the title of the movie. Yes, of course, I need that. Chris did mention that the field should allow special characters. Yes, today movies comes with a lot of special characters in their names as well. So I will need to know that. First and foremost, as Isa mentioned, we need an option. As an admin, he or she needs an option where he can add, delete, or upload certain details. Don't you all agree? Because it has an existing list, right? I'm not doing it on scratch. Earlier, last week, there was some set of movies that were displayed. Now, the same set of movies, 10 out of 5 might still continue even casting this week. Only 5 I'm going to replace. So I have an option to remove few things. I have an option to add few things. And I also can retain the same few things. Dexter did mention that everything is done successfully uploaded. Yes. So once everything is done and successfully uploaded, what will the admin look for? He will look for a success message, some indicator stating that whatever information he has done now, whatever action he has performed now in terms of deletion and adding new movies, it is successfully uploaded. Is the success message that he wants. So where am I going to show it? Is it going to come as a pop-up with an OK button? Or am I going to give it on the top of the screen in green color with exclamatory? How is that going to be? This is my boundary condition for the story where I'm allowing my admin to upload the movie list for a specific time period. When I say this, now understand this from the story perspective and the acceptance criteria perspective. When we see this together, irrespective of whether I'm a developer, whether I'm a tester, or I'm a business user, we all will be on the same page. Now, are we all on the same page with this? You all agree that yes, these are all something that we definitely have to do. These are all something that we are going to do it, right? Kavya did mention in detail in terms of the processing icon. Of course, when the person has uploaded, he has to be indicated that there is something happening in the system. So a processing icon is required. So when is that processing icon going to come? When I say upload, when I click on upload, or when I'm going to save, or when I'm going to submit. So that is the level of details that will add in the acceptance criteria. Just like that, I will not see the processing icon, right? I have just logged in as an admin user and I've started editing it. So when will I see the processing icon? When I just finish that action, either by clicking on a save or upload, whatever it is. Are we all clear? Now how this acceptance criteria is helping you as individuals and also your testers, your developers and the business users? So this will be written by my product owner and my business analyst before it is brought to the team. So in the product backlog, yeah, Kavi, I'll take it in a second. In the product backlog, the topmost layers where you saw things very thin as part of the image today morning, all that is high priority, which means that as something that has to be consumed by the team in my immediate next sprint. So I will have a proper structure with the syntax, the user story is written, and I also have a very clearly called out acceptance criteria, which is my boundary condition. Yes, Kavya.
So it will be very detailed one, right? The acceptance criteria, all the things.
Correct.
Minute details will be present.
See, it depends on the pulse of your audience, Kavya. Say the product owner is working with the same team for, say, last few years or months, and the team is well versed and experts as part of the application and the domain that they are working on, then I needn't give any minute details. In general, if your application always gives the success message as pop-up, then that's a common functionality that we are all going to agree to follow. I needn't repeat. Yes, Raj.
Can I answer that one? It's just maybe right or wrong. Give an example. The users will not, user will say, I want an ID password to log in. And when I log in as maybe admin or maybe users. So they will not going to tell you that, okay, the admin, the ID and password should be this exactly width and number of letters, etc. That is based on your, the company's policies, which will minimum 15 characters or maximum 15 characters, 9 minimum, then, the what do you call numeric, alphanumeric and special characters, etc. So those all user is not going to give you, but that you need to decide. Okay. So but that is why when you look at acceptance criteria is minute, but users will not be giving you that, I need exactly this one, but users will give you, I need ID and password to log in. And it may be an admin or a normal user. Admin can upload the data, but normal user cannot upload the data. They can just view it. Guest. I mean, is that as clear, Kavya? Am I right or wrong? I'm not sure, Vani.
Yes, Raj. So that is where the discussion with the team also comes in. My product owner initially writes these. Say now my product owner says that it is restricted to 9 characters. And then the developer has been working even prior from the product owner. Then the developers will say that as part of our organization, we always follow 10 characters or 12 characters. Are we going to change that policy right now for this particular application? So that is the conversation that will happen. Yes, Ruchi?
So for any development work, this acceptance criteria is the most detailed document. After this, we are not going to have any other detailed document as a requirement, right?
Yes. And it's not a separate document. So that depends on the tool that you use as well. So inside the user story, after you write the user story, say as a summary or as a description, then immediately below that, there is one more field where you can add these as acceptance criteria. No separate documents given to that. The only additional document that might be given is Ruchi. To your point, in terms of the background, the image, the brand logo, that will be added as an attachment because that is common, that comes as user experience. Yeah. Yes, Dexter.
Is this acceptance criteria can be used can be based by user as a user acceptance?
Yes, they can be used for user acceptance testing as well. See, your users will not give so many details, okay? Users will just give one-liner. They are not into that. That is where the role of a product owner and business analyst comes into picture, where they will detail out all these things. And this is the reason why they do a lot of market research. This is the reason why they have domain knowledge and expertise. So they come up with all these things. So they are going to convey this to the users as well as to the development team. So they are SMEs here. Any other questions on this? So this is your boundary condition so that you will not have ambiguity in terms of what has to be achieved within the story, and there will be no discrepancies between the developer and the tester in terms of understanding how much should I develop, how much should I test. So that questions also gets faded away, which is one of your challenges in the initial documents, even which Sachu did mention this morning. Are we all clear? Okay. I'll move to the next. So we were supposed to do an activity. As we took a 15-minute break, what I'll do is I'll hold on to this activity for now. I'll come back to this in, say, another 10-15 minutes. Okay. I'll just quickly cover the characteristics of user story. So this will answer, Dexter, your question in terms of the dependency. Okay. When the product owner writes the user story, they will follow the characteristics called as invest, which means my story has to be as much independent as possible. When I say independent, only when I deliver the login page, will the user be happy? You're only giving a login page. Say the customer has come and asked you for a booking application. You're only giving a login page. Will that be happy for the customer?
No.
Of course, no. But as a story, login is an independent story. Now, once I log in, I see the home screen. Home screen is a separate story altogether, where I see the list of movies that is casted, and I see some basic information such as the movie name, the cast and crew, and then I see the screen in which it is casted as part of my theater. Now that is the bare minimum home screen that I'm going to provide. So there is a separate story for home screen. Now these both together, login plus home screen, will the users be happy to use it?
Yes.
Of course, they will be happy to an extent, because when compared with only login page, this is much more better. But what is the intent that they are coming? They want to use your application to book their tickets. So once I choose, I'll need to select the ticket. So selecting the tickets becomes a separate story. So I choose the ticket in the respective screen, and then I go for payment. So these are my separate stories. Now each story is independent, so that they don't have dependency with each other directly. But however, only when all these 4 stories are integrated, they become a potentially shippable increment. All these 4 stories will be part of my sprint 1, where Murli will be working on login. I'll have Chris working on, say, the selection of seats. I'll have somebody else, say, Aruldas working on payment. So I'll have each and every developer working on one single story, so that by end of the sprint, when they are all completed, they are tested, I'll integrate this together so that my users are able to use it. It becomes a potentially shippable increment. That is what I mean as independent. Now, what is the contradiction to it? Say the login page, I'm creating 3 stories. The first story says, design the login page with username field, password field, login button, cancel button, have a background, have a brand logo. It only talks about the UI. The first story only talks about the UI of the login page. There is a second story which talks about the validation aspect in terms of the username, password field entry, the values, etc. And there is a separate story which talks about connecting to the database and checking whether the combination is right or wrong. Now, these 3 stories are not independent stories. Separate story for UI, separate story for middleware, separate story for database is not an independent story, because for one application or one feature to be achieved, I am cutting through variously so that they are dependent on each other. This is what we mean as being independent. So the first example I gave is an independent story. The second example that I gave are dependent stories. You shouldn't do it in that fashion. That is what independent means. So to answer to your question, Dexter, each story there that you saw in the sprint backlog, every single line item is a combination of UI, middleware, and the backend. Whatever is required for us to claim that the bare minimum is achieved is the combination in one single story. Negotiable, always the stories are negotiable. When I say stories are negotiable, the example where I said you, within a login page, is the remember me, forgot password really required in a single story? No. That itself is independent. I can take them as a separate story. I don't want them to stay in the login page, bare minimum. That will come as a separate story. So always my stories have to be kept in a very negotiable fashion, where I'm not tightly coupling each other. Third thing is it has to be valuable. So as I said, if you're only delivering the UI of a login page, is it valuable to my customer? Definitely not. They'll only see the UI. They'll not be able to type in, they'll not be able to click on login, nothing will happen. What is the value that I'm generating out of it? So every story has to be valuable. It has to be estimatable, which means, as I showed you in types of agile requirements, your story should be something that can be completed within a single sprint. So I cannot exceed the capacity, I cannot exceed the estimation, which I'll again articulate during sprint planning. Small, it has to be as small as consumable within a single sprint. Testable, when I say user story, that has to be testable. That is where if it is a proof of concept that you're doing from the technical standpoint, your analysis, research, they are not called as user stories, you will just call them as tasks. If it is a user story, it definitely has to be testable, which means it has to be validated in terms of the value generation. So why should you know this? You will have to know this in general. What is the characteristics of a user story? But who has to follow this? My product owner and my business analyst are the key people who will follow this. And they will have a detailed drill down of this particular thing as part of the product owner session. Any questions on this? Yes, Ruchi.
So you are saying that one user story, the size of the user story should be as such that it should be completed in one sprint.
Yes.
Right? And it has to be value add also.
Yes.
It means it has to be at the end, it should be a shippable product.
Yes. It should be a potentially shippable product, not a shippable product.
A potentially shippable product. So what about the bigger items? Right? We might have some features which are huge, cannot be completed in a sprint. But as such, it cannot be shipped also if I complete it in a sprint. Then how do I write story for that?
So when the estimation happens, that is where you make the decision and you ask your product owner to slice them down into multiple stories. Say if the estimate for a specific story, the team says that it is going to be 50 hours, for example. Generally, we don't do it in hours. We will come there. Okay. They say 50 hours. And your overall sprint tenure is only, say, 10 hours. Then definitely you can't accommodate that. So what you will do is, that is where it is an indicator for my product owners or business analysts to go and break that story into multiple stories. Initially, they wrote a story, login, which had remember me, forgot password, everything inside a single story. Now they will start slicing it. Login, username, password field, login button, cancel button. Only this will be covered as part of the story. Remember me will be created as a new story. Forgot password will be created as a new story. Because even without remember me and forgot password, I can still call that as a potentially shippable increment. Okay, that is one scenario. Second scenario, as I said, it's a potentially shippable. I'm not going to ship it. So if my domain has only 3 sprints worth when I club together, because login is done in first sprint. In the second sprint is where I'm doing selection of seats. In third sprint is where I'm doing payment gateway. Then by end of every 3 sprints is when I go live. Okay. And in all the 3 sprints, it is not necessary that I work on forgot password and remember me. I will only work on the bare minimum of login, bare minimum of seat selection, and bare minimum of payment. Payment, I don't want a Visa, MasterCard, etc., etc. I'll give a very bare minimum. What is the most used? That is where your product owner is going to do market research. Today, what is the most frequently used payment gateway? Is it Master or Visa? Which country is it getting launched? So I'll give that as a bare minimum. So the next options will come in future sprints, future releases. Was that clear, Ruchi? Okay. If no further questions, I'll continue. So how are we going to do this? As I said, your product owner is the key person who will write, but you as users, I said I'll cover this as part of the 3 C's of user story and during the refinement. That is what we are going to do. The card is something which is first written. That is, your user story will be written. Initial days when we didn't have ALM tools, when we didn't have tools that supports agile way of working, what people started doing was they had sticky notes. They had cards. in which the front side of the card, they wrote the user story. As a user, I want to so that I can. That statement was written. And then behind the card, there was empty space. Behind the sticky note, there was empty space, which they used for capturing acceptance criteria. And now they had a conversation with the development team. That is your conversation, card, conversation, and confirmation. So during this conversation, the product owners explained the story to the development team, and the development team started asking questions. Because initially when the product owner wrote, he didn't write whether the password field has to be asterisk, asterisk, asterisk or dot, dot, dot. Now the team is asking that question when he explained. And basis that explanation, confirmation, conversation, the product owner updated the acceptance criteria. That was your confirmation. So this is the 3 C's of a user story. And this is how we make it collaborative. Though the responsibility, accountability of writing the story lies with the product owner or the business analyst, the conversation and confirmation has to happen with the development team, and it is equally responsible for everybody to get that information. Just because the product owner has the conversation with the team, and if the team doesn't ask any question, and once you start developing, you say that there is ambiguity, you don't have clarity, whose fault is it? Is it the product owner's fault or is it the development team's fault?
Development team.
Of course, the development teams. Though my accountability was with the product owner, equally you as development team, as Scrum Masters, have responsibility to ask the questions. This is where my Scrum Master, the Scrum Master will not ask questions. The Scrum Master will facilitate the refinement sessions for the development team to start asking questions. Because we are all not in the comfort zone to ask questions. Few people are not. So now that Scrum Master has that authority to facilitate, they will help and support in terms of making it interactive so that slowly the team kind of loosens up and starts asking questions. Product owner clarifies and they'll keep the acceptance criteria up to date. So as you keep transforming, as you keep starting to practice this, you will see the maturity level improving. Over a period of time, now my product owner also knows the pulse of the team. He or she knows, okay, if I write it this way, what is the next question that the team is going to ask? We all do that, right? Even when you write an email, if you are a seasoned person who have been writing emails, who have been talking with the senior stakeholders, you know what will be the immediate next question they will ask once you send this note. That is how we all prepare presentations as well. So product owners will also start knowing the pulse of the team, and their writing also will kind of switch depending on the pulse of the team. They know how much detail they'll have to go in, where to stop and where to elaborate. So Kavya, that was to answer your question, how your detailed acceptance criteria slowly over a period of time kind of reduces because you are all on the same page. And it is a matter of practicing it till that point, not leaving it. Just as we all go to gym or start with badminton, 2 days, 3 days we go continuously, but after that we will have sore hand, sore foot, sore thighs. Then people will kind of back off. There are only few people who will manage to cross that 3-4 days. Irrespective of the pain, they'll try to continue. And then it will just become business as usual. Whereas those who missed, they will again have to start after some time for various reasons, and again they'll go through the sore phase. So it is as similar to that when you're starting to practice Agile in the right way, which has been mentioned in the theory aspect. All good? Any questions? Okay. Right now, as I said, I will go back to the activity. And for that, yesterday I did request you all to bring a paper. Do you all have a paper? Perfect. Thank you, Aruldas. Thank you, Sam. Can you all show your paper in front of the screen for everybody to have a look into it? Okay, everybody see each other's paper right now, okay? Perfect. Oh, I'm so sorry, Jason. I know that you were not available yesterday. Perfect. Thank you. Excellent. You don't want a pen. You can keep your pens aside. Okay, as always, some rules, right? Vani is just a rule master now. So what we are all going to do is you're all going to close your eyes. I love when my participants all close their eyes, yeah. But open your ears, okay? And the most important catch is I will not repeat the instructions. No questions will be answered. I will provide the instruction and you will follow it. Until I say you can open your eyes, you're all going to keep your eyes closed. Okay? Ready? And the first instruction starts now. Fold the paper into half. 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 Tear a small pinch of paper from the top left corner. Tear a small pinch of paper from the top left corner. Unfold the paper completely. Unfold the paper completely. And then now you can all open your eyes and hold the paper in front of the camera. Everyone has the same type? Everyone are having the same type? Okay, so Prabha has corners and one hole in the center. There are few who has two holes similar to eyes. Yes, Chester, you have beautiful eyes. Okay, some used the corner. And what was the expectation? The expectation was it had to be like this. Let me remove my background. The expectation was to have the paper like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You should have 8 U's or V's. That was the expectation. Now, what did go wrong here? What was wrong in this? Why each
Don't
one of...
blindly follow the instruction.
Yes, Sacho, of course. Don't blindly follow the instructions. Yes, Chris.
Sorry, Chris.
You say the first instruction, but you repeatedly told us to fold the paper. But you say that is the first instruction.
Yes. Yes, Ruchi.
So the instruction was not clear whether you're repeating the first sentence or that is this instruction number 2.
Right. Of course, Ruchi. Yeah, Sam?
That's the reason. Yeah, that's the reason we missed first 3 instructions. We thought that's a repeated instruction.
Okay, perfect. Yes,
But
Dexter?
she won't repeat, right?
Of course, Kanishka.
Yeah, that we remember after 2 instructions.
Yeah, senior. I remember after 2 instructions that she will not.
Yes, Dexter.
Yeah, I thought a repeated instruction, so I came up with the smallest paper. That until I can't tear it because it's too thick for me, and I have injury here, so that's why my paper has no tear.
Yes, absolutely, Dexter. Yes, Sehul?
You didn't mention the direction, which way to fold.
Yes. Of course, I didn't mention that. Perfect. Thank you all. Now, one last question before I start talking, right? Do you think this would have worked better if the same thing was given to you in return? Do you think all your papers would look exactly like how it was for me? If I had given the same instructions in return. Yeah, Ruchi.
No.
No, no.
No.
No. Okay. So whatever reasons you said is absolutely right. First, at times we kind of forget it's not intentional, but we don't remember. Similar to what I said I'll not repeat my instruction, but you remembered about it only after the 2 instructions. For few people, they didn't realize till the end. That's where the papers were just the same first single thing, and they had only a small piece of paper that they had torn. And as Sachu said, blindly don't follow. Exactly. This is what we don't want you to do. However good the product owner has written the story, in the refinement sessions, if you're not asking questions, if you're not clarifying it, if you just want to follow it blindly, that will not work. And one of you said that I didn't say which direction, right? It was Sehul, right? Perfect. Sehul, the first instruction when I said also, I didn't mention the direction, but every one of you folded it this way, top to bottom. And where is that question or doubt coming when it was the second instruction to fold the paper? Most of you who did follow, they all folded it this way. First time it was vertical, the second time it was horizontal, left to right. In both the places, I didn't mention the direction, but what made you decide top to bottom and left to right?
We tend to.
We had the
That's
same doubt in the first time itself. Which direction we
that's
need
a
to
common
follow.
practice too, sir.
Yeah.
It was habit.
The assumption.
That's how we fold papers.
Yes, not just papers, right? This is also coming from how do you hold your handkerchief? How do you fold your clothes? So this is coming from there as well. We always do this followed by a left and right. So it comes from there. It comes from your muscle memory. Whether I say it out loud and clear or not, we all tend to follow that because it is there in your muscle memory. And I just wanted to reiterate that all your past practices, the way you worked, are going to come your way whether you like it or not. You just have to be mindful enough to just let go of that, overcome that, and then start working with a new way of practice, which we are calling out right now for the benefit of you as a team to achieve that common goal. It's not intentional. It's not because somebody don't want to listen to what Vani as a trainer has said or what organization as Raj and Jason had said. It is just because our muscle memory is very strong. Subconsciously, unconsciously, we keep getting triggered with the same old practice because now it has become a habit. And that is the only reason. So don't beat yourself up. At the same time, don't be too okay in a comfort zone to it's okay. Is it one time I just followed the old practice? No. Both the ways, please do not practice it. Just be mindful and then start changing it with the new habit and new practice. And this predominantly, irrespective of whatever I said, few people remembered after 2 instructions, few people didn't even remember till the end. The same thing is with the product owner explaining you user stories. When the product owner is explaining you user stories, you will only hear, you will only listen what you wanted to listen. Right? Our attention span is only so much as human beings. So it is always better that you do a bit of homework before coming to the refinement so that you know what questions you will have to ask, because the way I hear, the way I read are 2 different things. So there are chances that I will miss the ambiguities that is there inside my user story and acceptance criteria. So I'll not be able to ask a question if I come without any preparation. And again, just because the product owner writes the story, it is not their fault. It is because we did not participate. It is all our fault because we didn't get that clarified. Are we all clear? And why is Vani explaining this time and again? As part of industries, we saw this as a common practice, common challenge across teams, across organizations, where people felt the product owner didn't give. Whatever product owner has given, what are we doing? Did we ask that question? You ask the question and the product owner still hasn't clarified or updated. Yes, of course, it's the issue with the product owner. But if we are not even asking that question, then it is no fault of the product owner. Somewhere the product owner also needs a mirror. They wrote it in the way they interpreted. They wrote it in the way they felt, yes, this is understandable. but your pulse is different. So you will have to keep telling them what your pulse is, basis asking your questions. Only then they will also get better and better to respond to your pulses. Good. Are we clear? Any questions? Right. So this is the next one called as grooming of a user story. No more in industry, we call this as grooming. When Scrum framework started, when Agile started, we started calling this as grooming. Right now, because of the word grooming, which was not contextually right in some of the European countries, people reframed this as refinement of a user story. That's where in the Scrum framework image, top corner, near the product backlog or artifact, you will see a word called as refinement. And I did say that I'll talk about this later. This is not part of your events. Yesterday, I did mention that. You all remember, if you have a screenshot, just quickly have a look into the Scrum framework. So what happens as part of your traditional requirements, BRDs or FRDs are provided, then followed by use cases, and then you have high-level design documents, low-level design documents, and then there was knowledge transfer happening. So BA to provide a knowledge transfer to architect, architect to provide a knowledge transfer to tech lead to developers, and then there is one more phase where tech lead to QA head and QA head or QA lead to QAs. That is the testers. So there were multi-level of knowledge transfers that were happening during the traditional requirements. But right now in Agile requirements, you start with a user story, you have conversation, which is nothing but the refinement. And once your conversations are done, acceptance criteria will be updated. Here, acceptance criteria will just only get updated. Product owners have to write user story along with acceptance criteria while coming for the conversation. And once the conversation is done, acceptance criteria is updated, you will have supporting information. As example, where Ruchi said the product, brand, logo, etc., the look and feel, that will come as your supporting information as an attachment or as a link. Clear? Now, what and all can be inside my backlog? To start with product backlog, and then that will, I'll have a subset of it in sprint backlog. I can have user stories. Whatever is going to generate value to my users directly, whatever can be used by my user directly is called as user stories. Documentation related work, bug fixes, it might be production bugs, it might be something from SIT, UAT bugs. Technical research, as I said, any analysis that has to be done. My user has asked for pagination, and they're asking for an auto scroll pagination instead of page number wise. You all know these two different pagination concepts, right? If I have, say, search result coming in, if I have, if my page can display only 10 search results, and if I have 20 results, then I'll have pages 1, 2 at the bottom of the page where I can move from one page to another to see the results. Or else the first 10 will be displayed, and as I scroll down to the last row, automatically the next set of 10 results gets populated. That is my auto scroll functionality of pagination. Now, if your user is asking the auto scroll feature and you're not very sure if your technical stack will support that or not, you're not using Java, you're using something else, or you're using a different version where you're not very sure if auto scroll will work or not, because you will have to adjust in a web-based application, and there is also a mobile application. When there are so much complexities, then in that case, you will do a proof of concept or a research analysis task, and then only you will get into the user story. Till then, the user story will not be committed. So such technical research analysis can be part of my backlog. Architectural design, anything that has to be decided from the architectural standpoint. Anywhere, say, for example, you're using SQL, there is some version that you're using. The market says there is a new version and the old version will not be supported any further. You will have to migrate to the new version. Then such are architectural decisions will come as a task inside your backlog. So these are various elements that can be inside your product backlog, which has to be prioritized and which has to be consumed within the sprint backlog. Now, my product owner business analyst has decision-making power, prioritization power only with respect to user story, documents, and bugs. The tech research and architectural decision has to come from the team or the tech lead, where they will play a crucial role. Say if my SQL update has to be done before end of first quarter, because the company has said it will not support the old version after from April 1st onwards, then that is a high priority for me right now. So I will consume that. I'll see what is the effort required, and accordingly, I'll consume some user stories and other bug fixes into my next sprint. So this is how the decisions will be made, and these are the various items that will be there inside the product backlog and followed by a sprint backlog. This is to explain, I think it was Kavya who asked this question yesterday, where will the documentation work go in? So your documentation related work also can come in as a task inside your product backlog, which you will take basis the priority of it. And for this also, there will be a discussion in terms of, as I said in the first day or second day when I explained the principles and values, what type of documentation does my user use? For compliance related, I still have to maintain physical copies of documentation. However, users are using only video related. So how do I prepare those video related documentation? So these are the discussions that you will have with the team and make a holistic decision. Any questions? Any questions? Right. So the next is my Scrum board. So your sprint backlog, when you get started, there is something called as an active sprint. As I said, you all start with an open or to-do status. You have 2 stories. So at any given point in time, I'll have to know what is the status of that specific story. Is it in to-do yet? Is it in progress, or is it completed? Is it in testing? Accordingly, I'll create a view so that the visualization becomes easier. And this is where you decide your ALM tool also. As I said, as long as your tool has the opportunity to visualize it, it's absolutely okay. It is not necessary that every team has to follow only Jira or only Kanban or only version 1. It depends on what the organization has invested in and how can we get such a view. Scrum events, I'm not going to start it today. That will be a fresh topic for tomorrow if you're meeting, or it is on Monday, whatever it is. But we will not wrap it up so early. We are going to do an activity, and this is with respect to your domains. Similar to yesterday, we are going to create breakout rooms. I'm going to split you into teams. Before I do that, any questions to anybody?
Well, I think some of them said they can't attend Monday because it's a Singapore Chinese holiday as well as Malaysia also holiday. So
sure,
if everybody is okay for tomorrow, then we'll push it tomorrow. Just want a quick check with everyone. You guys are okay? Everyone okay for tomorrow? Just make a yes, I mean, or no. I just wanted to. Sihal and Jason. Yeah, Jason is okay. Sihal also okay. So, Prabha.
Yes, Raj.
You're okay tomorrow, or how's it? Kanishka, Sachu, Sam.
So if we are doing it tomorrow, then how it's gonna work for the second training?
Yeah, that will be on Tuesday, may not be on Monday. That is as planned date.
So this itself is getting over only by Tuesday. So from Wednesday, the product owner session starts. 16 hours gets covered by Tuesday.
Tuesday. So we have one tomorrow, and then final one for this Scrum Agile is on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is for product owners.
Yes.
Okay, so I think you shifted to tomorrow.
Perfect.
And thanks. Go ahead.
Okay. So coming back now, I'll put you into breakout rooms. Everybody has the link, but I might change your rooms today. So I'll share the links shortly. First, let me decide your breakout rooms. It's 21, 22 people, right? Okay. I'll create 4 breakout rooms. Okay. So I'll just list down the team member's name for room 1. Please make a note. Room 1 is Isa, Aruldas, Arul Sam, Chester, Chris, and Dexter. Isa, Aruldas, Arul Sam, Chester, Chris, and Dexter in room number 1. Room 2, Expedito, Ferdinand, Jason, Joanne, Kanishka, Ruchi. Expedito, Ferdinand, Jason, Joanne, Kanishka, and Ruchi. Room 3, Kandivan, Kavya, Murli, Nitya, Raj. Kandivan, Kavya, Murli, Nitya, and Raj. Room 4, Prabha, Sehul, Sachu, and Sneha. Prabha, Sehul, Sachu, and Sneha. You are in room 4. Okay. Maybe I'll move one person from room 2 to room 4 in that case. I'll move Ferdinand from room 2 to room 4. Ferdinand, you will join room 4. Okay, because there are only 4 here. Yep. So Ferdinand alone will join room 4. For others, it is the same. All good? I'll quickly take your room links and I'll share it before I open the breakout rooms.
Yeah, but what to do in the room?
Yeah, coming there. Once I finish this, I will not be distracted. So
If it is good, we just go to the room and see them and come back. See their faces and come back. That'll be nice. That we do it now also, right?
Vani is cruel and she will not give such easy ones.
Happy to hear the statement.
Okay, room 4, I've shared your link. Room 3 is the next. Room number 1. I'm yet to give for room 2. Just a second. Room number 2. Here you go. Okay, so what you will do as part of your breakout rooms, you will have 15 minutes for your particular project, for your particular domain, for your particular application. You're going to come up with a list of product backlog. Okay, in the link, you will see activity number 2. And inside that, I would have just given gray boxes, which says type your paragraph here. So start typing in that each item, each feature that you wanted to add inside the product backlog goes as a single element. If you want to add a new one, either add the text. There is an option called as T inside the board. And once you click that, you will have the paragraph option. Or similar to yesterday, you can just click on inside that window, activity number 2, and then the sticky note arrives. A yellow color sticky note will come. Either ways, you can add it, but create a product backlog for your domain, for your product, for your application. You are close to it, so you will know what are the features required. What do you want to work on it to develop your application? So that is the product backlog that you're going to come up with. Clear what you will do inside the breakout rooms? You will have 15 minutes. The screen share option is available. Yesterday, I think it was not available. I did put it in the share after the broadcast message once you all went into the breakout room, but I didn't see anybody sharing the screen. So today you all should have access to share your screen. So one team member per breakout room take charge of sharing the screen. So everybody can give the input and you can keep typing. Or everybody can add in theirs and then you will be able to see it in the screen share. Either ways it works, whichever is suitable for you. Okay, make sure that every team member participates and everybody provides their input to build your product backlog. With that, I'll start the breakout rooms right now. See you all in 15. Please join your breakout rooms. You would have got an indicator in your desktop. Dexter. Yeah, Kanishka, any issues? I'm not able to hear you, Kanishka.
Yeah, I got kicked out or something. Let me try again.
Sure. You're in room 2.
How do I join again?
You don't have an option, is it?
No.
Okay, for now, I'll move it to a different room. I'll move you to room 3. You join them, huh?
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you all see? I just added one
Yeah,
bus
yeah, I
text.
can see it. But when you do the backlogs, wouldn't you do it kind of more at the story level? Like saying, you know, like job creation,
Mm.
and
Yeah,
then
so that
like
it can be
invoice creation, entry submission, because you'd really do it at kind of a higher story level, right, for the
yes.
backlog?
Correct, that's correct. Oh, so the second point that I wrote should actually go when we pick this in our sprint backlog and not in product backlog, right?
Right, right.
So as a business, I should be able to create an
Like
import
job
order.
creation.
Yeah. That's
Booking,
Like what
booking,
else?
booking,
Yeah, so customs,
booking request,
so like booking request,
shipping instruction.
customs, let us go first.
We might have the same
Yeah,
with the other thing.
customs declaration,
Shipping instruction.
instructions.
Back. You can. Okay, now you can put as a user, I want to save the new order, right?
As a user, I want to save
New import order so that I can, what you can do?
so that I can
Work on it later.
Once the
Then
order will be create and they will save.
now what is when we create and then what is when we save?
Now they are creating or save a user if want to save new import, right?
See, create a new order means, okay, you are having
Yeah, still you can say this is EGS. But the next one is
The notification part.
Once the address mapping is done, then next step is create order into EGS using the mapping, right?
Yes.
So how did you all find creation of backlog? Interesting, easy? Sachin, I'm not able to hear you. Sorry, go ahead.
It is interesting, but it's not that easy.
Okay.
Yes, we find it very short. 15 minutes. Okay, we all started discussing. Where to
15
start.
minutes goes by very fast.
Yeah, 15 minutes goes by very fast. Yes. Yeah, Sehul, you had something?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like we part time too much in the discussing, and the points came out with very little.
Okay. Yeah, Ruchi, you had something?
Yeah, I just wanted to inform Raj that I've taken requirements from Jason for our next project. Is that?
I think Raj is on call. Maybe you should repeat once he's off the call. Perfect. Chris, yes,
Same
please go
goes here,
ahead.
Ruchi. Same goes here. Okay, Sehul writes the users like backlog items. Okay.
Oh, good.
Yes, Chris, please go ahead.
We have created a backlog for 6 months sprint cycle. Sprint backlog.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So you have multiple release worth content. Great. So there are two aspects in terms of doing is one, you all get a feel of how the backlog is created and also to know the pain or what the product owner has to go through, right? It's not as easy as it seems, like you creating the user stories or requirements or however you wanted to name it, right? They're going to have a lot of conversation just for this 15 minutes, different views coming from different people. So they're going to engage with a lot of stakeholders. They're going to understand the requirements, do some bit of homework on their part in terms of research, solutioning from the business standpoint, and they're also going to create the user stories. Here and there, initially, yes, of course, you will have to work together for them also to feel at ease, or else this might become overwhelming. So let us again bring back the concept of respect people for people, have all the credits to our product owner when they are bringing in something to our plate for discussion. Okay, don't start with a very subjective way of my product owner had just a one-liner statement as part of my refinement, which we have seen in most of the organizations where we kind of lose the value as well. So that was the intent. So we all get to know how we actually do the product backlog creation. Right? Perfect. That's all I had for today. Tomorrow, gear up all the strength. More than today's content, tomorrow's content is going to be even more interesting in terms of the event. And also it's going to be even more heavy with respect to the theory aspects. So I'll make sure that I have a lot of activities to warm you up here and there, but still come with open-mindedness to understand each of the events as we speak about them and ask as many questions as possible. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day. Have a good lunch and see you all tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Same link for
Thank you.
tomorrow,
you.
right?
Sorry,
To join.
Kavya?
Same link for tomorrow to join.
Yeah, I will just confirm on that, Kavya. If at all there is a change, we will send out an email to you.
Okay.
Do we, tomorrow will be the last session? Am I right?
No, Tuesday will be the last session.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thanks for
Bye-bye.
Yeah.